Good afternoon. Today's mini lesson is on diffusion. Diffusion is the process by which a characteristic spreads across space from one place to another over time. A cultural hearth is a place where diffusion originates. It is where an innovation or cultural change originates. As we see on the map here, these are the cultural hearths for the four major religions on the globe. That would be Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, and Buddhism. The core is the most pure area that possesses all cultural traits used to define a region. The domain is the area in which the culture is, as we see here, but less intense. The culture is dominant, but less intense. The sphere is the zone of outer influence where people with cultural traits can even be a minority in another region. Here are some types of diffusion. We have relocation diffusion and expansion diffusion, and within expansion we have hierarchical, contagious, and stimulus. Relocation diffusion is the diffusion of a characteristic as people move from place to place. Culture being physically carried one place to another through migration. Irish bring the St. Patrick's Day parade to America. Relocation diffusion is the spread of idea through physical movement of people from one place to another. Also, it's movement of individuals who carry an idea or innovation with them to a new, perhaps distant locale. This is caused when people migrate from place to place and bring their culture with them. This is the cause for many different languages being in one area, such as the United States. Not only is language diffused, but religion and ethnicity as well. An example of this would be also the spread of AIDS. This is because it was an outbreak in one area, and a person in that area moved to another and continued to spread it. Expansion diffusion. The idea starts in a source area and it stays strong there while spreading outward. An example of this would be Islam. The start, or the hearth, is in Saudi Arabia, in Mecca. Contagious diffusion is the rapid, widespread diffusion of a characteristic through the population. Contagious diffusion is rapid. Ideas are spread through contagious diffusion are spread throughout the population like the flu would. It starts with one person or place and it keeps spreading until it is worldwide. Ideas that spread through contagious diffusion start in a populated area, then other cities adopt the idea and it keeps spreading from there. Unlike hierarchical diffusion, everyone picks up on the trend and idea around the same time, causing it to become contagious, like a wave on the crowd. It starts from a center or hearth and diffuses out from there to the rest of the population. Contagious diffusion goes along with many ideas that relate to popular culture each year. Hierarchical diffusion is the spread of an idea from person or nodes of authority or power to other persons or places. This type of diffusion usually results in an important authority figures in a community, such as political leader or socially elite people. Also, the trend or idea starts in a major city, then the other cities follow a while after. This type of diffusion usually starts in a populated early and slowly diffuses to less and less populated areas. An example of this would be architecture. This is because it may start in a certain area of the world when someone from that country moves and builds that same style in another area, which spreads through the rest of that area, and so on and so forth. Another example is hip-hop and rap. It started with low-income African Americans in urban areas and diffused from another. Another example is command centers in New York, Tokyo, and London employ modern telecommunications to send out their orders to factories, shops, and research centers. Stimulus diffusion is the spread of an underlying principle, even though a characteristic itself apparently fails to diffuse. Also, an idea or innovation sparked by an idea that diffused in from another culture. The specific trait may be rejected, but the underlying concept is accepted. The concept is often rejected for cultural reasons. This diffusion occurs when an idea or product aren't being completely diffused throughout the population. Also, it is when the basic idea or trend is being diffused, but not the exact idea or trend is spread because of the region it's spread to. An example of this would be McDonald's diffusing to India. This is because Hindus don't eat cows because they believe they are holy, so they replace the meat in the burgers and make them veggie burgers. Notice how acculturation, which is the process of the less dominant culture adopting the traits of the more dominant one, can go both ways. Both the dominant culture and a minority culture can take parts of each. Assimilation is when immigrants lose their native customs completely. And acculturation is just when a dominant culture adopts the traits of a more dominant one. There are two-way flows of culture is transculturation, an exchange on both.